she's screaming, and he's just has this calm look on her face as he's like Iron Man
He's like,
blasting her.
I'm doing my job. I'm being a good boy. Look at me go.
I thought he was just like blasting her in the face with fire. He's like, "Get fucked, bitch." I thought that was great. He just needed to get close to do it, and I'm like, "Bob, you sly motherfucker."
ALPHANUMERIC.
This is bad. Very bad.
We have to save Phong.
Stop Megabyte. Once and for all.
Something we need to do alone.
You took away my life. Destroyed my home. Caused nothing but pain and suffering to everyone I held dear. Goddess, what have I done? Mainframe will always endure. Remember this defeat.
Greetings and welcome, beautiful humans, to episode 37 of Alphanumeric, a reboot podcast where a bunch of 90s kids get together to talk about one of our favorite animated shows, ReBoot. I am one of your hosts, Lady Glitch, and today I'm joined by our two favorite guardians,
AP Snidler.
And NeoCal, which is me. I am here.
Fantastic. Welcome, gentlemen. Today we will be talking about, like I said, episode 37, which is Showdown, season 3, episode 14. And we debuted this on January 10th, 1998. Long time ago.
Oh, yeah. It was a while back for me, anyway.
Yeah,
Which episode of Alphanumeric are we on?
Episode 37.
Wow, we've done that many?
Yeah. Well, I've
Holy
only done
moly.
like 5.
Okay.
You guys have been here for like ever.
Yeah, for forever. Have I been on every episode?
Maybe?
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah.
Wow, who would have thought?
Yeah, wow.
Right? It's like you've
Who
been
would've
here
thought?
since the inception of
Yeah.
all this.
Basically a veteran, a professional of it. So this is it's an interesting episode.
It is. Ben, before we dive into the episode, we do have to make note that our primary host, Christopher, he is out system hopping. He's doing some kind of adventure today. So he has entrusted the three of us to cover this episode.
That's true. Thanks. He's the usual one running things, and he's off doing important Guardian business.
Yes, he is. And it's so important we don't know what it is. So we can only speculate.
I assume wrangling web creatures or something.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, he's wrangling.
It's difficult.
So
they go in pods. They attack ships.
Yeah, so he's taking care of all that for us so we can do the podcast safely and in one piece.
So, I'm not going to say my feelings about the episode. So we can get into it, but it's nice. It's nice. I'm glad.
It's a good episode. I like
it's a good episode.
So here we are. We start.
But yeah, go ahead. Take it away. What do we got?
Oh, I was just gonna say we come in on this what is now Megaframe, and it is war torn. It is just completely destroyed, and we kind of pan across this. Excuse me. We kind of pan
People
across
living in
this.
ruins.
Yes.
It's like you got homeless binomes and laundry that's still hanging in the breeze, and it's dark.
Not looking too good, huh?
It's not mainframey. It's not happy.
No, it's nuts. We have the principal office off in the distance, and that's where the ball on the top explodes. So it's kind of a callback to the last episode when the tear forms. It kind of goes back to where the tear forms over the principal office.
Mm-hmm.
It's from a different point of view.
I was just gonna say that. Good job.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Megabyte's forces surround it right away.
Yeah.
It's hover tanks.
Yep, they're guarding it.
Yeah. Yep.
Bad news.
Bad news.
Somebody who's not Lieutenant Chauncey reports back to Megabyte, tells him everything's going according to plan.
Mm-hmm. And then Megabyte gets all excited because he's about ready to leave this decrepit system.
But he made it decrepit. It was great before.
No, hexadecimal made it decrepit.
That is
Remember we
technically
had
true.
this conversation
Yes.
last week?
I feel like it wouldn't. You're right. You're right. It would have been
That because
lawful. It would have been lawful and organized and efficient, but
It would have been-
oppressive if Megabyte was in charge.
it would still be horrible, just organized horrible.
And we see the saucy mare.
horrible.
Organized
horrible.
horribly.
Yep.
That was his nickname in middle school.
It was. How did you know?
So we see the saucy mare.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to make a quick point. Like when you see Megabyte go to Phong and be like, "You're still going to give me the codes," his face gets all like big and narrow and weird looking.
I know. We see. Well, it's from Fong's point of view.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
and he's inside the
He's
bowl,
in the,
so
in the thing. Yeah.
it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So, do you know what this is reference to? The ship doing its like kamikaze run against the fleet.
I should, but I don't.
My cinephile friend Christopher Siege informs me that this is a direct homage to the third Star Trek movie.
Okay.
And I guess they kind of like rig and make the Enterprise kind of do like a kamikaze run or whatever, and they but I have not seen it.
Nor have I.
I've never seen any of the
I
I've seen
actually
one.
don't remember the one that he's talking about, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks like Star Trek 3.
Mhm.
Star Trek 3. Oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to look that up then.
Yeah, while he's looking it up, just to make sure I'm not misquoting him or anything, I was like, oh, I didn't know that. There's a few homages to sci-fi in this that he pointed out that I was unaware of, and this is one. I question the legitimacy of this tactic because, as we find out, the saucy mare is full of dynamite.
Yeah, they loaded it up full of stuff.
Yeah. All
And nobody's
the
on it.
ammunition. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess Andrea probably programmed it from down below deck to run this mission.
Yeah.
And as it gets shot at, holes, they start to ignite the munitions stored in it. Looks like there's like booze and barrels of gasoline, just generic explosive incendiary stuff.
You can say goodbye to all the rum that they had. Rest in peace.
And somehow, the rum, it's all gone. Somehow it makes a fire wave, a wall that cooks all of the hover tanks from the inside out, and they all explode.
Yep. And then the mare just launches itself into the energy sea. And
it's done
from
for. But it didn't explode, but it had all the explosives on it. But the hover tanks exploded.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm nitpicking an homage to a Star Trek movie, but it gives us this logistics aside about why that even worked. It gives us a chance to see Andrea and Capacitor kind of see the saucy mare sink into the energy sea. Like
and Snidler, you had thoughts about this. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh, I just thought it was sad. Just watching Gavin watch the ship go down. Because
it's kind of like Gavin watching the show go down.
Yeah. Okay. But as you could tell he was welling up, and he just kind of, he knows that what he did was for a noble purpose, but he just, that's his girl, that's his baby, that's his ship.
Yeah, he sacrificed the common good.
Yeah. I had to tear up a little bit when I saw that.
You teared up a little bit?
Whoa, where did you go?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you are.
I'm realizing that this is not charging. Which is really problematic.
Yes.
How do I tell if it's What the?
Bum circuit.
Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs, folks.
Oh crap! What's going on?
A bum circuit?
This has not been charging the whole time.
Do you need to go fetch a new cable?
Una momento. Trying to figure out what the... Man, of course. Of course, I can't... It's the right plug-in. What is happening here? Continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's continue
Let's,
while
let's
Cal
keep it going. Okay.
is just troubleshooting this minor glitch.
Don't mind me, folks.
No. Cal
It's just a
is
minor
fine, ladies
glitch.
and gentlemen. Just a
Cal,
minor. Go on.
What was happening with the camera? You know, I don't want to know. Was I frozen?
Yes.
you're still frozen. Okay, now
Yeah.
you're getting back to it. Okay.
Everything's smooth on my end. How about now? Is everything...
Your audio and visual is just a little behind now.
It's gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be okay.
Oh, things... Oh, no. How could this happen? Okay, anyways, you were saying.
It's okay. Technical difficulties
Okay.
are
So-
being resolved, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Yes.
moving forward. Carry on.
Mare goes, wee, crash. Capacitor's all sad. And then Andrea comes by and she's like, it's like, you do what you always do, Captain. You turn a hopeless situation into a fighting chance. We've done our part, and now it's Enzo's turn.
That's right.
Yes.
And then he gets all determined, and he's like, the mare will not go down in vain. He like throws his hat and everything. And he tells Andrea, go
to your man. We'll be right behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And it cuts to Mouse and Enzo on the front lines, getting ready to storm. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But before we get to that scene, though, he turns around one last time and watches the very like tip of the mare get down in the sea, and it's just like, there she goes. This is so sad. Bye.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Sad pirate music. Sad Gavin music.
Sad
But
Gavin
we didn't
music.
have sad Gavin music at the beginning of the scene though, because it was a bump ba da da pirate shit at the beginning
We did
when
now.
it was going to go explode, because we didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Well done. All the textures, all the fire effects, all the explosions. They're really showing off. They're doing a good job. Mainframe Entertainment.
So now we're over at the outside the principal office with Mouse and Enzo looking over at the saucy mare going down. Yeah, they got a spyglass. And
that's the signal.
That's the signal. Whatever it may be. Was
Goodness,
the mare going down. So now you have...
And they attack the principal office. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Now we have CPUs outside with what looks like rocket launchers.
Yep, straight up rocket launchers.
Yep.
And this episode's a bit different for me because
looking armor.
It's showing people die. The binomes die. Like they're firing missiles. That's a sneak attack.
Mm-hmm.
And like so they're just blown up or in chunks. And they're binomes, right? They can be in chunks and still live somehow. We've seen hack and slash torn apart and be put back together, right?
Yeah. We also see binomes like totally incinerated because of that fire in the last scene. And the one commander guy is like, they're committing suicide. Like, this is the first time we've heard the word suicide mentioned in this entire
did
series.
they specifically say, coming at us like that is suicide? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that he said that they're committing suicide. It's like this move is suicide.
That's what he said. He says they're still coming. They're not altering course. He says then they're committing suicide.
Oh wow, he says that.
Yeah. Which I thought was like really dark for ReBoot all of a sudden.
It's dark, and they're
but then
they're taking the principal office.
They're using the smart cannons on the not the smart cannons. They're using the cannons equipped on the principal office. I'm just noticing. For some reason, this is just coming to me now. And actually, I kind of have to laugh. Where there's one where there's a binome firing, and then the top square gets blown off.
That's what I meant. It shows them being dismembered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just shows
6:37.
him he's kind of like stuck there, but he's still kind of like moving like he's firing a weapon. And
Mhm.
I just thought it was funny as well.
Cockroach moment. And there's a
Yeah.
slow motion scene as it
Yeah.
shows Mouse and Matrix storming the principal office with the resistance,
Yep.
which I think is really cool. And it fades to show Dot in the command office.
I
Yeah.
love this scene. Oh my
It's a good
It's
goodness.
one.
just a brief one, but she's thinking to herself. She's not talking out loud, and she's saying, "I wish I could be out there with my brother." And Bob, where are you? As this slow motion scene is fading
Yeah,
in the
and the fact
foreground.
that everything out there is superimposed on her face is a beautiful animation.
Oh yeah,
Well done,
definitely.
guys. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and she's
I
like,
like how now after we've seen the CPUs in action and they're getting blown out of the sky like in Web Wars. But now suddenly their armor and their weaponry, it looks really badass.
I noticed
It's
that
something that
too.
I saw. Yeah, like
There's more
suddenly they
to
look
them.
really, really cool. They have kind of Judge Dredd masks, you know? Like for
Sur- doing what they can to survive.
yeah. But I was just noticing how they all look completely different than what we saw in first and second season.
mhm.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
There's
Alright,
some
just
familiarity.
footnotes.
Yeah, there's some familiarity as we cut to Hexadecimal's layer.
Yes.
Yes.
And Bob is in the
But I've never
spotlight.
noticed that her chandelier looks like it's made of bone or teeth.
Bone. Yeah.
I've definitely seen this, yeah.
And
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
oh, her chandelier is made of bones?
And that
That's kind of cool.
doesn't look like it has any lights on it.
Candle holders?
Maybe.
Could be.
But she's got her spotlight there that just kind of hovers around.
The iconic spotlight that kind of
Yeah.
casts big shadows on
Yeah, yeah.
the wall from her, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
Bob's on a green couch. He's on a
Like
chair.
in the
Yeah.
Like a
Snackwell
lazy boy.
commercial in the 90s.
Very, very unlike her layer. I find it very weird. Just this unused couch asset that they just threw on the scene
Do you
because
remember
they needed Bob to sit on something.
do you remember Snackwell's cookies? They were like chocolate cookies in the 90s. And the commercials always featured this guy just advertising them, and he's sitting on a green chair exactly like this one. I don't know if that's a direct
Really?
homage to it, but that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw Bob tied up on a green chair.
He's gonna be selling me some cookies.
Cookies.
Hey, he's selling cookies. Yeah, that's
Even
what
though
it is.
he's tied up,
Well,
Glitch Bob is really calm and
Yeah,
he could be enjoying
contemplative.
it.
he could be. The thing is, it's hexadecimal, so he knows if he does anything out of term,
She's gonna kill him.
yeah, no matter what.
I don't think so.
Also, I
I
think
think he
there's
knows she won't.
I think he knows her. Yeah, exactly. I think he knows. Because hexadecimal's always had some shred of good in her, which is kind of what Bob's known. Because Bob's always kind of
Yeah.
had this interesting relationship with this virus.
Yes.
Or even though she's crazy evil, she still has a soft spot for Bob because Bob understands her to some degree.
And tries to help,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He could. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone on Alphanumeric has that. Bob is a lot different than what we presume to be other Guardians are like because he kind of has a live and let live
Yeah.
policy that seems rare for the Guardians. He doesn't just wipe out Hex or Megabyte when he gets the chance.
Yeah.
Right. He's always been on the path of trying to fix things.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
And
to find the good in a sense of everybody.
so I like this relationship that he has, but he's different not only because time has gone by,
Mhm.
right? He maybe just like Matrix, time goes by faster in the web because his hair is
Yeah.
long and his just
Mhm.
attitude was different.
Yeah.
But now that he's merged with Glitch, it's different because he's both of those entities.
Right.
Right?
And
It's
we know
Glitch Bob.
Glitch also has a personality.
Yeah.
We don't get to see much of it, but they are sentient.
Yep.
Because Turbo's reacted to Bob's when Matrix met him
Right.
in the harbor town.
Mm-hmm. Good old Port City.
Port City, city of ports. So this Hex
So-
has a cracked mask, and she wants to
Withered.
dance. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's still got the
Burn mark.
dominatrix outfit, even more so than season 1, right? But she seems to be fine. Well, as
Currently.
fine as
To a degree.
Hexadecimal is, right?
Yeah.
You know what I find
It's-
funny when Bob is like captured on the chair, why doesn't he break out of it? Like, if he's such a strong guardian that has fused with his key tool, wouldn't he be able to like finagle something to get himself out of whatever bondage he was in?
Well, that's what we were
There's no
talking about
point.
earlier. Is that we don't think that he really is trying to escape.
No.
And if he
Because
does try anything,
there's
he wants it to be as
conflict.
peaceful as possible.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
she'd just grab him again, or she'd constrain him even worse. Right?
Yeah.
So just he's doing what's best for both of them,
Mhm.
not just for himself.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
brought up their like relationship, right? He could probably just bust free, right?
Yeah.
Shoot through the wall and peace out.
And that's why
Right?
Hex says, I was afraid that you had left.
Oh,
Because she knows that he could
Oh.
possibly do that.
yeah. But he stayed. He
He
stayed.
stayed, he enjoyed it, he liked it.
He wanted to see
Yeah.
where it was going.
Yeah.
Which is wise.
Yeah.
Lessons.
So the assault.
The assault, yes. We're going back to the principal office. We see Matrix and Mouse running full speed towards the principal office.
They hide behind some rubble.
Yes, they do.
And basically they go to make their move, shoot at one of the auto cannons.
Mhm.
Because Mouse says, hey, can Frisket take care of it? And he's like, he's busy doing Frisket things.
Yes, all the frisky things.
And they jump up behind cover, and Matrix has his gun, and Mouse has her sword. And I'm like, what's Mouse gonna do against another person with a gun? But luckily, deflect the shot. That'd be pretty cool. But we see a starfish shuriken go right into the head of the viral binome on the turret.
Like, damn, what a shot.
Yeah.
They're killing bitches in this episode.
They are.
He's dead. Like, that's not like paralyzing him. Like, that's
that's
a
lethal.
couple inches chunked into his head.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's all or nothing now, right?
Took out his CPU, if you will.
Yeah, she swings by and she's like, if you're through resting, it's like, I'm here.
Right. It's like, hey, you've got a. She's on a board.
Yeah.
They were just charging on foot. So they have a moment, Andrea and Matrix, before they run off, and they say, "Well, let Mouse go. We need to go save Phong. She's off to go do Mouse things. We need to go directly for Phong.
Yep.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
Just collect Phong.
Yeah, just collect Phong."
There's your free parking space.
So Megabyte feels like he's under some pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your friends are
And he's like,
persistent.
okay, Air Doctor. If you can pull off another slam dunk and speed things, expedite the process, I'll let you have some fun.
Yeah.
He's got
there's
all
a
the
comical
movies, all the
moment.
stabbies.
Him and Bunnyfoot pull out these comically large, like, it was like, what are they, multi-tools with like saws and
syringes and
blades and syringes.
Torture shit.
What? Yeah, very German.
Very,
very Air Doctor.
Pulls out a basketball.
Yeah.
Go ahead, try to get past me. You won't dunk on me.
I'm gonna make you feel like a
on
little
me. Yeah, and Fong's still conscious somewhat, and he's like, he keeps repeating the same thing, which means he's losing it. He's like, do what you will, virus.
Yeah, if you've noticed the last couple of episodes when his head's been in the bell jar, he originally referred to the virus as his name, Megabyte, but now as he's going deeper into like subconscious delirium, he keeps just saying virus, virus, virus.
It's
He's not
also more
referring to him as
insulting.
Megabyte.
It's kind of like how
Yeah.
Megabyte calls Matrix boy,
Boy. Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like demeaning. So
Yeah.
he's just calling him virus.
Mhm.
Also, he doesn't give them the dignity of having a
Yeah.
name.
There we
Yeah,
go.
so
He's just like,
Yeah.
he's trying to resist and
yeah, like
throw some back.
you've always been the same,
Mhm.
Just a virus. Once a
Yep.
virus, always a virus.
So the rebel forces have now entered the building, and we see Matrix and Andrea encouraging them on through the dark hallways.
So there's a giant window with the hacking with all the numbers, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Even though he's Megabyte's 4 feet away from it, he opens his like wrist to see the progress in like
Yep.
green and red bars.
Yeah.
But like the window's like 4 feet away from him.
Well,
It's kind
the
of like
thing is,
people that are on their computer, but they still want to use their Apple
I-
Watch.
I thought about that, but I feel like because like he was gonna split, he was gonna go somewhere. I think he wanted to see if it was synced up, if he wanted to see if his little device was working.
Oh, it's like checking his watch.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
kind of.
He wanted to
Yeah.
make sure his Apple Watch was synced up.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
So while
Well,
he's
have
checking
fun,
his
Doctor. Off I go.
Yep. So while he's checking his Apple Watch, these two are, encouraging their buddies to go. And I love this next scene because Andrea turns around and the look on her face is like, oh, what is this? And then she looks at Matrix and it's like, hey, he's over there.
Through the giant
Yeah.
doors with the virus symbol on them, and all the
Yeah.
other rebels are like
Right
running down the hallway, and it's like, where are they going? I like this. I don't know. I think some battles shouldn't be fought alone, but to each their own.
Oh,
So before he goes through the giant double
Yeah.
doors with the virus symbol and the red carpet leading to it, like quite
Yeah.
clearly towards Megabyte's chambers, Andrea, before Matrix says anything, she says, I know. This is something you need to do alone.
Yes. And there's also a sad Enzo motif in the background, but in a different key.
Oh, good catch.
It's
Yes.
been modulated a little bit because it's like I don't want to say it's completely a major key, but it's noted in a way that it's leading up to Matrix going in to fight Megabyte. It's not completely sad, it's not completely happy, but it's in that uncertain kind of cordial structure.
Anticipation of a reckoning.
Yes, it's probably like
maybe
an
Enzo music will
inauthentic
change
kind of
soon.
thing. Yeah.
Maybe it won't be sad Enzo music anymore.
It'll
That is
be
true.
semi-happy music.
Possibly.
Semi-happy
And
It'll be
Enzo.
renegade music.
yeah,
Content Enzo music.
Yeah, so we've also, like what you guys have established, that Andrea recognizes the fact that this is Matrix's current fight to battle, and
Yeah.
she steps out of the way, because even though those two have been paired up this entire time doing these adventures together, she
Yeah.
recognizes this is Matrix's thing. This is his end-all be-all. This is what he's been training to do the last however long. So,
Yeah.
go nuts.
I would have hid in the shadows, just in case he started losing. Stab Megabyte in the back.
Yeah, you would have.
Wins win, man. When it's bad guys, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'll throw starfish at him. I'll stab him in the back with a trident. Whichever.
Yep.
Wow.
So we cut to ballroom dancing
Yeah,
Yes.
twirl,
with
twirl.
Bob and Hexadecimal.
This is kind of nice.
And they're floating. And
Yeah.
have you ever read the short story Harrison Bergeron?
No.
I will link you to that. Both. It's a commentary on society to the extreme, but it kind of ends with characters dancing in the air and flighting. It's interesting. I'll send it to you.
Oh.
But
It sounds interesting.
when I'll anybody that's familiar with it listening, it's not what you think. It's about handicapping the able so that everybody's on equal footing.
Okay.
So if you're
Yeah.
good looking, they make you wear bad makeup or a clown
Mhm.
nose. If you're really strong, they make you wear weights
Mm.
so that it's harder for you to move. If you're really smart, they rig like an ear device that like plays sounds whenever you're thinking too much. so that everyone is equal and
Okay.
nobody has the advantage. But so it's
Interesting.
to the extreme,
when was
right?
this done? When was this written?
This written? It only takes like 2 minutes to read. Harrison Bergeron.
When was it written?
Good question. Good calling me out on that. I can't tell, but it has 1984 vibes to it.
Oh no! I that's what I was getting at. I wasn't calling anybody out. I was just
No.
curious. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't being like, what else do you
1984
know?
vibes.
No.
1984 vibes
I was
to
gonna
it.
say it sounds a lot like that. So yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to read that. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's about two parents watching the news and wondering what happened to their son, and their son appears on the news. And
Wow.
I won't spoil anything else about it.
All right,
But
I will read it.
to jump back into Hexadecimal's
Yeah.
dance with Bob,
Yep, she
when they
throws herself back to her chair.
go ahead. I like what she does here.
Me too.
She twirls herself back to her chair and she lifts her leg up so high, and it's just like, take a look at this. You always were the dancer.
You
And
always
then
were the dancer. And it's a stripper move. She's lifting her leg almost up to her ear.
yeah, damn
And
right.
Yeah.
That is a stripper move. I can vouch for that.
the show's giving people what they want. I'll
Yes.
just say that.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
sir.
long, the thigh-high leather boots. It's
Yep.
and the heels.
Yep.
It's she's already tall. See,
Uh-huh.
one thing I don't like is when tall women are afraid to wear heels because it makes them taller. No, be 6'4". Wear heels. Don't give a shit.
Exactly. The ones that I just bought make me exactly 6 foot, and I'm 5'5". So, yeah.
Go for it.
Yes. If you can rock it, do it.
But for
yeah.
some reason, it's not doing it for Bob because he face palms and he says he doesn't insult her or anything.
No, he
just says, Hexadecimal, we need to talk.
He's like, you're not well.
Not a great thing to say to somebody who's manic or depressed or having an episode, but
then.
But I understand that he's trying to be sensitive.
And calming.
Oh, go ahead, Snidler.
He's comfortable enough with her to just get down to brass tacks. Just say it
cut
like
to
it
the
is.
chase.
Yeah. And just like we need to talk. You're not well. Tell me what's up. And then immediately she switches right back to evil.
Well, she's like, I don't know if I should
talk to you. And then she just, I kill you. And,
yeah.
And then Bob's face is like, oh,
she didn't do a hand wipe. She shakes her head.
Oh yeah.
Hellraiser, and her face morphs into the angry face. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Bob is like, oh fuck. She's very not well.
I just thought of a hypothesis with that, Cal. Maybe in the time that she was under Megabyte's control and she didn't have use of her arms to do the face panning, she learned how to switch that to do it on her own.
She adapted.
Fucking Megabyte.
She adapted and evolved to the situation.
Amazing. Oh.
Okay, here we go, folks.
Okay, here we go. Here we are. Back at the principal office. Oh man, it's such a great scene.
Matrix kicks open the fucking giant doors.
Yeah.
Punches through them.
And Air Doctor is like 2 centimeters away from slicing Fong's head open with a chainsaw.
And then he does something really stupid. He says, take one step closer and head gets it. And I'm like, oh, you guys are in the wrong wrong room.
Poking the wrong bear.
Yeah. Wrong beehive.
So he just
I was kind of hoping he'd just shoot them.
Me too.
Just because he takes out his gun and he's like, I don't like binomes who threaten my friends. And he shoots off screen and I'm like, holy shit, did he just fucking slug them?
Yeah.
He just kept a
I just noticed that because I have it up
Did he
here
just
too.
put a cap in their ass? But the camera angle changes and he's shooting at their feet to scare them away. And I'm like,
I thought it was Air Doctor taking a shit on the floor because he shit himself.
This poor Phong. They're holding that blade right over his head and he's just kind of like, no.
He should have just shot them.
Like, oh. But he fires off these warning shots, I guess, because they are not his target. His fight isn't really with them. It's with his employer.
Right.
It's that complicit thing. Okay, since there's a very clear Nazi motif with Megaframe, the way he tries to run things, it's kind of like the end of Nazi Germany. Everything's in ruins. They're trying their hardest to preserve order, all that shit, right? Are Nazi scientists complicit? Or is only the highest up? Like, at what point are officers or generals or lieutenants
the
complicit?
Nazi scientists went to America, but most of the higher ups were either captured or committed suicide. From what wrong history lesson.
So if they're scientists, capture them and make them make bombs for you. If they're anyone else, they're killed or condemned.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Let's face it. Germans know how to like do stuff. So
they know how to do stuff.
They know how to do stuff. I'm talking like science and like.
They've always been very, very scientifically minded.
Yeah,
Definitely.
So,
just the Nazi scientists.
Just the Nazi scientists.
Germans are smart. They make good cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Phong looks dead.
He's so dead.
His head's in a
almost.
tank.
His little wires are starting to fade at the bottom.
Man, this kind of got me. I thought he was going to be badass and come and fight, but he looks sad, and he doesn't say, like, he says it's me, Enzo.
Well, Phong hadn't seen Enzo until this point, and obviously Enzo is now Matrix. He's grown
he looks
up.
so sad.
Well, Phong was like part of his mentorship growing up, so
That's true.
they had a mad respect for each other. And Phong is so sad for the fact that he cannot stand to greet him because
I forgive my not standing to greet you.
I think that was classic Phong line. Sorry, go on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, based off of his character and the culture that it came from, that's an intercultural communication thing right there.
That's true.
In Asian culture, like, you stand to greet people.
Of course. I was also thinking about the fact that, like, obviously I can't, but I'm sure you and I can laugh about it.
I viewed it as a pun,
Yeah, kind of like,
forgive me not standing.
Forgive me for not standing, like, doy.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be a thing, like, kind of like a civilized, like, European thing to stand when a woman left the table, even.
Yeah.
And to stand up to greet someone in general, yeah. Times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
I still try and make a point of manners and stuff like that, but times really have changed. And
yeah, Snidler takes his coat off and puts it on puddles to allow women to cross.
If there's a puddle there, yeah, but I've never actually ran into that situation before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opens the door. Yeah. Stands
ladies,
and
make
sure his powdered wig is straight and his petticoat is all buttoned up.
Always stands on the side closest to the street so he can absorb all the puddles.
Actually, I do that. I do that. Yes.
It was twofold. The reason that started, when you're walking side by side and there's a man and a woman, the man is on the outside. So if carriages or horses go by, the man, and they were to be splashed, the man would block the woman. And also the way Victorian era buildings were, the second story jutted out a little bit so that you could have those awnings, those windows, a little sitting area to knit and look out. But also, people threw their chamber pots out there onto the street.
Yes, they did.
Where they jutted out. And so when those splashed down,
you'd get it.
You'd think some people would be decent and look first, but
no.
Thank God times have changed in those manners.
Thank God times have changed, and we just let women get splashed with chamber pots.
Yeah, that's it.
Too much. That was too much, man.
Men have been oppressed for too long.
It's time for women to walk on the outside of the sidewalk.
Time for women to get splashed by poo. Okay. Poo noodles. Yeah.
This is actually a really touching moment.
Yeah, it is.
Because Phong says,
back to the show.
Yeah. Enzo, I'm glad to see you, my son. And I've never seen Enzo like this. Yeah. Imagine seeing one of your mentor just as a dying head.
Mm-hmm.
It's And so they're so good at animating expressions. Man,
Imagine
Mainframe has
dying
come a
head.
long way since we
Like,
started
I've
this.
got Matrix's face pause on 11:31 as a timestamp, and he just looks so sad,
Oh,
sad.
look at him.
right?
He's a renegade,
Sad
but he's so
Enzo.
sad.
The sad renegade music.
Sad Enzo. Sad Enzo.
Sad renegade music. And he's like, I'm going to get you out of there, Phong. Where's Megabyte? And Phong still has the wherewithal to be like, behind you, Enzo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he just manages to dodge Megabyte's claws. It's on. It's on like Donkey Kong.
It is. And then
So-
Megabyte's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Like,
It's like, the
His
Who
eyes
are
go
you?
wide. The boy?
Yeah. The boy.
Enzo?
and then his
Yep.
eyes narrow and get dark.
Yeah.
Which I think is
At
really,
first he seems surprised, but then he gets angry.
yeah. It's like, I thought I killed you before.
Home
This
from the
monologue-
games.
This monologue
Oh.
when he's like,
Oh,
yes it is.
I
And he
love
kind
it.
of turns. It's animated so well. The
Oh, yeah.
lighting, the what do you call it's still choreography even if it's CG characters.
Oh
right?
yeah, I love the
But, like,
fact that
it's-
we've got a red background on blue and green. Like that's a
Yes.
perfect
This is-
contrast.
It's so good the way this is written and the way it's delivered. Like where he's talking about Enzo,
Enzo
and
Matrix.
young Enzo Matrix.
Home from the games.
Home from the games.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Why have you grown?
And then he draws his weapon and he goes, and such toys. You know, like he's just
I
like
think he's not intimidated by the gun.
he is not only that, but he sees Enzo has become potentially more of a threat now than when he was as a little boy, and he's still trying to tear him down like he did before. Obviously,
trying
he
to do an
survived.
angle where he can win.
Yes,
'Cause he's like,
he's doing
Does
that
your
psychology
sister
thing.
know you're playing with them? The toys.
Like, holy
And
cow.
Matrix's eye like does its turn thing, and he aims the gun at him, and I'm like, just shoot him fucking dead, please.
Like, do it now. Do
Mm.
it now. You've been training for this for like 17 episodes now. Just do it.
But then,
I love the shot of
but
Enzo.
then-
and it
oh yeah,
zooms in on his face. The red background's behind him too,
Mhm.
and there's shadow on his face. Oh,
but then Megabyte
Right.
makes a great point where he's
what is that
no,
annoying chatter of yours?
Mega
Breath
Breath
this,
this and
Mega
Mega Barf that.
Why don't you put that gun away, boy, and
You
try
got it.
fighting like a real sprite?
And then Enzo is basically like, "Damn it, you're right." He throws it down.
I'm
And
a
then,
different renegade than him. I would have just been like, "You're right," and I would have shot him in the head. But
this is fantastic.
maybe that was old
Chucks it
Matrix.
aside. He's
But
like, "Fine."
that's-
He just walks up to him and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking enjoy this." And so
Maybe-
he's
Maybe
go on.
before you get to that, like maybe 10 episodes ago, right? Matrix would have just shot him.
Yeah.
But I feel like meeting Bob, getting his emotions under control, finding out what he values, it's not just power anymore. Like that whole like vision quest that he went on where he's like, wait, am I just gonna be like Megabyte? So I don't know if it's Megabyte tricking him or if part of him is like, no, I'm gonna take him out with my bare hands.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which it is. I would have
It's
just
like
shot him.
he's not that weak little boy he knew that he was in previous
Nope.
seasons that couldn't do shit. It's like he's got muscles now.
He's choosing not to just shoot him dead, which is what
Mhm.
I'm trying to touch on.
Right. He wants
Yeah.
him to suffer as much as Megabyte made him suffer
Exactly.
through various
exactly.
ways and means throughout all these episodes.
But I'm touching on the chivalry thing. Because if he wanted to make him suffer, he could just shoot his kneecaps out.
True.
I've thought a lot about what Renegade NeoCal would do to Megabyte. But no, it's an honor thing, a chivalry thing. The
True.
satisfaction of being like Megabyte's always been physically imposing. You know what? I'm gonna beat him where Megabyte's at his strongest. Maybe
Yeah.
so that I can beat him fully.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did I really beat him if I just shot him?
Right.
Yeah. You-
There's contemplation to be had. I
Mhm.
don't know. Maybe all of the above.
It's a reckoning.
But he doesn't just put his gun away; he tosses it away.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh no.
It's a
Maybe
very
have
like
it as a backup.
it's a very Luke Skywalker kind of move in Return of the Jedi when he throws his lightsaber to the side when he's confronting Emperor Palpatine right before he gets barbecued.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that was him choosing not to fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is him choosing to take matters into his own hands.
The
Quite
fight
literally.
just
Since
like a
Stidler
man,
seems
you know.
about it, after he throws his gun, you can take it away.
Oh, this is just so good. Where he's like, I'm okay, fine. I'm gonna enjoy this because this is it's happening right now. So he stomps up to him.
Megabyte is
And
just standing there, like shaking his head, like really.
Like, okay, here we go. Here comes the kid. Has to be a hero. And then he just delivers this punch that sends him flying across the room. And he slides across the floor, and he's got this, oh, no, damn, that kind of hurt look on his face. Like, what happened? And he looks down, and he dented him. He dented Megabyte right
The
on the
look
back.
on Megabyte's face is like, what?
He's like, holy crap. Like, okay, finally, a real fight. Like,
We ever seen him damaged?
no,
All?
never. Megabyte's been like,
I don't think so.
invincible.
Yeah.
We've
Like,
seen his claws maybe break, or we've seen
Yeah.
him be contained or shot away or that kind of thing, but I don't think we've seen him damaged.
Right. His
No.
armor's never been damaged.
Even he is like shocked. And there's a little bit of fear
Tense.
there, and I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because now Megabyte's realizing he's not as invincible as he once thought he was, and even when he has all this power
Oh.
over a supposed dead system, but it's like physically.
Oh, it's insane.
I love this.
He gets up. It's kind of like just like fascinating. Like, and then just Enzo runs at him and just friggin' plows him through this. Yeah.
Oh God, it's a spear! There's a little WWE for Christopher Siege there. He tackles them, and they go through like a 2-foot thick like concrete wall that crumbles.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. Now this, by the way, listeners, the first time I've ever seen the episode was a couple hours ago. So this is like, I was super fucking stoked, but I immediately was like, wait. He's pursuing revenge before stopping and saving Phong and before stopping the codes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Matrix coming through more than Enzo. Enzo would have saved Phong and gotten out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matrix is so focused on revenge and hurting and stopping Megabyte that in the background, Phong is still being tortured and the codes are still being ripped from his head.
Yeah, and there's 3 more blocks to get before
and Andreas said,
everything.
remember, we're here to save Phong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure everything will end up all right, but I was like, oh no. Like, that's not the primary objective here.
Nope.
No.
But I mean, he blames Megabyte, rightfully so, for everything. Yeah, I'd say rightfully so.
Yeah, because he has nobody else to blame, because theoretically, Megabyte's the one that kind of fucked everything up for him.
Sent Bob to the web, subjugated mainframe, tortured, arguably, even though Hex did it, Hex wouldn't have destroyed mainframe if she wasn't enslaved and tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm with Matrix. Everything is Megabyte's fault. Like there's one culprit to how everything went downhill, and it's Megabyte.
It's Megabyte.
Yep.
And so we cut to this scene where Matrix is literally on top of Megabyte, punching him in the face.
It's a slobber knocker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And then Megabyte just grabs his fist and crunches it. And while Matrix is like there in a block of pain, he's getting ready to slice him open with his claws again.
Yeah.
He jumps away.
Yep.
It looked like he got cut on his lip or just missed his face because he touches his face for a moment.
Yeah, I think he might have gotten nicked.
Not
I
shaving.
thought we agreed no toys.
Still the pretender.
Still the
boy.
pretender.
On to you, boy.
And then he brings up his sister again. Because he knows that's a weak point for him. That's the thing that kind of motivates him. It's like, where's your sister to protect you? Or better yet, where is your firewall?
Where's your firewall?
I shall enjoy this. And he's getting ready to like overhead swing. And Andrea and the Resistance shows up. Not to help him, they're just marching through.
It's kind of,
But
passing through.
she's like, Matrix, catch! And she throws her trident to the horror of both Enzo and
Because it almost gets him right in the face.
And they both look back at him
like, what in the world?
it flies and hits the area in the wall, embedding itself in the wall right where Enzo's head was.
Yeah.
And both Megabyte and Enzo turn and look at Andrea like, what the fuck? Like Megabyte too, what makes that funny to me.
Yeah, his face is just funny.
And a trident isn't really the weapon of choice. I always pictured this fight going down with.
It's what they had.
But it's showing that you can't always do things alone.
Yeah. Sometimes you do need help from your friends.
And if she could have just threw that at Megabyte, she's giving it to Matrix. She could come in, she could throw Starfish, right? She could paralyze him, like throw her like claws, which we found out she can do.
Yep.
Like projectile out of her hands.
Yeah.
Nope. She's just evening the playing field.
Yep.
Yeah. It reminds me of when they were in the web and Andrea was totally out, and Matrix is like, I'm just going to borrow your trident. I promise I'll bring it right back.
Yeah. I'm borrowing this. Yeah, when she was out of it, yeah.
And he's like, I don't know how to use this thing. Yeah.
Then we immediately cut to Phong being tortured inside the thing torture device that he's in again. Yeah. But Andrea is trying to break it open, and she's holding one of her starfish. Yep. And I'm like, bet you wish you had your trident.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Yeah. And at this point,
I think we skipped a part here.
No, we didn't.
No,
Did we not?
We're here.
Yeah. No.
And everything glows green.
Everything. Oh yeah. Okay, we're here now. Okay, good. Yep. Good. Just checking.
Everything glows green. Phong yells, "No!"
Megabytes, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got the codes because it's connected to his Apple Watch.
Yeah. And he's like, now how do I get there? And he notices
there's a spiral staircase.
Yeah,
never seen that before.
We're seeing parts of the principal office that we'd never seen before. Obviously, It's quite fascinating.
A jarring change of pace from the action is Bob and Hex
having
they're
having tea
tea party.
Yep.
And he's smiling, and he's even has his pinky out.
yeah.
So classic.
And then finally, what we've been saying. He's going, pretends to drink, and he just drops the cup, and he just like, Looney Tunes like tries to dash away.
And of course,
like, nope.
Yep.
Hex just telekinetically tosses it back.
Yep.
And now he tries to explain. He's like, Hex, you got to let me go. I have to help the others.
Mm-hmm. It's like, why do you want to leave? We have so much catching up to do.
Which is like creepy X type.
Yep. And then what's great is that Bob, I guess, kind of manipulates the communication a little bit, and he starts talking about her. Now, we all know Hexadecimal loves talking about herself, so Bob is starting to point out things about her.
Old Bob. That's a good catch. Old Bob, I would agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But this is new Bob, and I don't think he's manipulating her. I don't think he has in the past, though, right? But the way his tone is delivered, I think it's a little bit different. I think he caught the damage on her mask, and he is actually genuinely concerned. This is glitch Bob. This is like weathered web Bob. He's seen what happened to the other sprites in the web. He aligned himself with them. He understands their plight. Like he's very zen. This one.
Oh, definitely, and it's such a stark contrast.
Yeah, go ahead. There's a stark contrast.
Yep, stark contrast from young Guardian Bob from season 1, who just wanted to like antagonize Hex a little bit, like play along with her flirtation,
Manipulator.
along with it, but it's not like in a truly sincere, caring way. Now,
And
No.
now it is.
now it is because it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you're damaged.
Yeah, he's like, Hex, your mask. What
And then-
happened?
But
And
she
she's
got
he
embarrassed.
resisting.
genuinely sounds concerned.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and she's like she's broken and she's embarrassed to show this flaw in her in her outward appearance and potentially her personality too. Aiden.
Yeah. And this is another thing that we covered, like in what was it, season 2 or season 1, where we were talking about how she's a depiction of a whole bunch of different mental states in one, and where her
Possibly, yeah.
mask is now starting to manifest on the outside, what she's like on the inside, where it's actually fragmented, it's actually cracked, and it's broken, and it's even got her even her beauty mark is like a burn. Like she's been so damaged, even more so than everything. So it's starting to show on the outside, and then
It's good symbolism.
yeah. So I just thought that was kind of genius how that whole thing was told, because
Never
it's
thought of
so
that symbolism.
it is
Yeah.
so real, metaphorically, because it's a show, obviously, but it's so real when you deal with certain people. Like as you go through life, the people that are trying to hide it, and then there's the people that show it, but they still look okay. And then after a while, like it's bottled up for so long, and you just keep getting worse because you keep getting abused, and it starts to show. And in this case, her mask, her only thing that keeps everything, the only way she's able to show all of her emotions is put on this mask. Anyways, and it changes all the time. And are we at the point? Hold on, we're not even at this point yet. Here. I have more to say on this one later.
Yeah, so she says, "Oh," because Bob's like, "Oh, here, like let me touch your face," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow," and she's like, no, I don't think that I want you to," and he's like, "Please, I can help."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Whoa, this is
powerful
this is a
stuff.
good interaction." Yeah, and then she says that she's afraid.
Yeah, and she
And I'm
continues
like,
to hide her
she would
face.
never open up about this stuff with anyone else. Like
Exactly.
I love this.
Because this whole odd, interesting relationship, they've built up this trust, and it's just kind of it's
Even
it's
though
a
she's
very
been
important
dangerous,
interaction.
even though she's been dangerous and has almost killed destroyed Mainframe, and has almost hurt Bob and has hurt his friends,
He recognizes
everybody that's part of Mainframe he's there for, and she's never truly meant evil, maybe. Because when he says, "Oh, don't be afraid," and he like embraces her, and I'm like, "Whoa!" He's like grabbing the small of her
he
back.
pulls her in. Yeah,
She's like, "Oh, Bob," and he lifts up his hand, and I have to admit, if you analyze this right here, she's like, "Oh, Bob," and they get close, right? She extends her claws behind his back,
Yep.
right? And I'm
it's like
what's-
she's either gonna slice him in half or she's gonna like rub her nails up and down his back.
Whoa.
Some guys like getting their back raked when they embrace. Some, that's just the thing. But I feel bad, but I laughed because Bob just calmly, right, as she's about to like rake him or something, he just calmly like Iron Man fire blasts her face. And obviously we learn that in a bit later when it comes back to them that he's mending her, not just physically, but we'll get into that when we get into that. But she's screaming, and he's just has this calm look on her face as he's like Iron Man blasting her.
I'm doing my job. I'm being a good boy.
The thing is, I think
he was just
also
like blasting her in the face with fire. He's like, "Get fucked, bitch." I thought that was great.
Yeah,
he just needed to get close to do it, and I'm like, "Bob, you sly motherfucker."
Well, also, I think he he knew that was the way to go, but he knew he had to act quick, because I think he knew full well that she was just unstable enough to claw him up the back, basically.
Which,
so
if it's anything like Megabyte's claws, they delete
Yeah.
shit that they corrupt shit
Yeah,
that they
that's true.
sink into.
Yeah.
He
So,
he
yeah,
was
it was
calm
just-
and confident.
Yeah, I also
It's
think
like,
Bob
it's happening.
knew. Go ahead.
He just said it's happening.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also think Bob knew what he was doing, and he was doing a favor for Hex because Hex knew it needed to happen, even though she was afraid of being fixed in a sense. But he was also kind of trying
His
to
friend.
buy his way to freedom to
Yeah.
convince Hex to let him go help the others in the situation that's happening outside of the lair.
Sometimes,
I think
in order
that-
to help yourself, you must help others.
Yeah.
Yes. I like
think
that.
that was definitely part of it. It was, yeah,
Is that a
'cause-
Phong quote?
If it's not, it should
It's a
be.
NeoCal quote now.
Yeah.
But said in the voice of Phong.
what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. Something.
We're in the weird
now-
spiral
Yeah.
staircase
We're back.
scene.
We're back at the thing.
Yeah,
And-
Megabyte, what has he got? A pipe? A big old pipe?
I really okay. Here's the thing.
Okay.
They are halfway up this staircase, or a good 3/4 of the way up this staircase. They have been fighting the entire time. Enzo's been fighting Megabyte
Battle of Titans.
up the stairs the entire time with this tiny little railing.
It is tiny. It's
It
like up to
is-
their knees.
That is
For
so
binomes.
That is so
For
dangerous.
It's a very steep staircase.
Yeah. Like, holy crow! And he's got a pipe.
Phong doesn't have feet. He hovers, so maybe for Phong it's easy peasy to get up these stairs.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose.
But you know what's funny though? We have seen Megabyte in a different form scale things like this. Like in season 1, episode 3, The Quick and the Fed, when Bob's getting that magnet, you can literally see Megabyte
Just
go into cheetah
bounding.
mode, like racing up the thing. It's like, why didn't he do that now?
Even
to
in
get
the
that
tearing.
air to GTFO.
It's
Yeah.
because Enzo's been on his heels.
Well,
Maybe
yes.
he hasn't had a chance. Yeah.
But Megabyte knows he's faster when he's using 4 legs instead of 2. So why didn't he just zoom his little ass up the stairs?
Maybe he needs to be in a straight line, and the stairs make problems.
Maybe.
He's always been in like a straight line when he's been
In a
like
linear?
bounding. Yeah. Either vertical or horizontal. Yeah. And you didn't have an Enzo like stabbing at your butt.
Yeah.
in those
Or
other
your
scenes.
abdomen.
Yeah, so it looks like he's laying the smackdown with a big pipe and he's gonna finish Enzo off. And he tridents Megabyte and we get to see what's under his armor.
Yeah, it's like he goes through maybe like 2 or 3 inches of solid armor, and it's like, whoa,
There's fleshy bits in there.
Oh, that
Yeah.
looks so painful because the face he
His
makes,
eyes roll back.
you
Yeah,
kind of
he's
feel it. And he's like, nothing has ever dented me or penetrated this flesh. Like, nothing has ever hurt me in my life.
you are
like-
becoming an annoyance, boy.
It's like, it is insane. Like, how awesome this is.
I love Matrix's response. He's like, "Trust me, it gets worse."
And then Megabyte just punches the ceiling,
Yeah.
and Matrix
Where
just
the
goes on
debris
and
is.
on. Back
Yeah.
down the stairs.
I wondered why he just let him punch the ceiling like that, and why he jumped up onto this debris and slid down for so long. But either that or get crushed, I guess.
I think if it were me on a piece of debris sliding downstairs, getting up and over it would be very awkward. So I think that's why it would take me so long.
It's
Mm.
yeah, but he
And
instead of dying, he does jump off and get back
Yeah,
to the
because
stairs.
it goes over the edge. Yeah.
Right. And you can
Yeah.
see his face as the camera pans up. Is like he's catching his breath, and he's got a look of contemplation on his face. He's like, what the fuck am I up against?
Yeah.
You're doing it, man. So we get a very interesting scene back at Hex's lair.
Transition. We got a bunch of gnolls looking at a screaming.
There. He's not just like Iron Man blasting her face so he can get away.
Yeah.
It cuts to her, and the first thing I notice as she's hiding her face is that she seems to have like eyeshadow, but eyelashes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, eyelashes? And then as she pulls away, her eyes open, and I'm like, wait, her mask is animated.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
It's
her
like
face
Bob-
is a little different.
Hmm. It's like Bob fixed the glitch that was in her mask.
So you know how
Yeah.
a lot of the sprites in mainframe have like kind of a broad nose
Mm-hmm.
right? Like they kind of higher cheekbones kind of thing. Her facial structure changes too.
Yeah.
She has like a nose almost like a sprite now. Like
She,
Yeah.
the mask is different and
it's
it
healthy.
moves. And her voice is a little different. And she says, "Look what you've done to me," as she looks into a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And her mouth is moving.
Yep.
And I'm
Yeah, so
like,
she's not just like speaking with her mind anymore. It's like she now has full range of motion in her
And
so
facial
not
structure.
only is the crack gone, she doesn't have to wear masks. And to what Snidler was saying,
Mm-hmm.
this is symbolic for, well, has Bob healed her mind too?
well,
She
that's
doesn't have to hide behind masks.
possibly
She
because
doesn't.
he
I'm
he
so
asks how
curious.
he
It's
asks
like Guardian
how
of the
you how are
Galaxy.
you feeling, and she says for the first time whole.
So it's like she's been
Like,
fragmented this whole time.
yeah. And now she has,
As she's touching her face with her claws, Bob off screen interjects and he's like, "Hex, do you think you could?" And she says, "For you, Bob," without taking her eyes off of the
Mm-hmm.
mirror.
yeah,
Anything. And then she just like effortlessly, as she kind of like closes her eyes, effortlessly teleports Bob away.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't know that Hex like transforms. I am really curious to see where the heck this is going.
I just think the whole interaction was so beautifully done, and I don't know. It always hits home with
The
me.
contrast between that very intimate scene back and forth between the very action-packed scene at the principal office, those two characters, Matrix and
Mm-hmm.
um, Megabyte, two characters, Bob and Hexadecimal, one virus and a sprite, right? And the back and forth, this is really well directed.
Yeah.
this episode. Damn.
Now Snidler, you said that particular moment really hits home for you. Do you want to explain
Oh,
that?
Well,
yeah.
'cause I've just dealt with a lot of people, like family members, friends that have been through a ton of things mentally, and they go through these cycles, and they have these multiple personalities that show up. They're fragmented. They're dealing with a lot of trauma, things that they were born with, things that they got through life. Um, and it's rare. Well, for me, in my own personal experience, it's rare to see them come through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of them just keep going on and on through these
Yeah.
cycles. And then some of them, you actually see them go through this, where they actually put in the work, or they have like somebody really good helping them, and they come together. They you can see, like, where they'll still have like a shift here and there, where, like, between personalities, but then eventually, over time, a long time, again, it takes work,
Right.
and that they will all kind of amalgamate. They, like, where they'll still remember what it was like, but they'll also be, well, whole. They'll have yeah, I don't know how to better explain it, because I've never
It gets worse. So I have
yeah.
family with certain mental illnesses and friends
Mm.
with,
Mm-hmm.
and things like Christopher and I have talked sometimes when it was just him and I, sometimes when Snidler's here, but a lot in the first season we talked about mental illness, hexadecimal, and a lot of the time people with schizophrenia, they take drugs because it helps. They can escape the hell that they're in a little bit, right? And it goes downhill. But for the first time, 5 or 6 ish, 4 or 5 years, I want to say 4. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, my mom finally found medication that helped. Most of the antipsychotics that she was on, um, make you really groggy, tired, fog-brained, can't pay attention to things. And for the first time ever, it was like actually getting to meet her, even though I've been alive over 30 years, because she was clear-minded herself, and the medication, there's been a lot of changes. Science and medicine is always evolving, right? And she's like, yeah, I don't get any symptoms, or if they're here, they come and go really quickly, or I just talk to my doctor about dosing or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And having the mind to be able to be aware of that when when you're suffering from it, you don't have the mind. You don't think that there's anything like really wrong, right? And so it's really interesting seeing people that have had issues their whole life suddenly. It's like knowing an alcoholic for your whole life and then meeting them when they're sober, and you're like, wow, you're
Right.
smart and
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
and different. Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different story, but yeah, I've had that too. So it's interesting how suddenly just external influence can make you better.
Yeah.
And I,
Sometimes you do need magic guardian meds,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
Yeah, I can absolutely attest to that. While I've never been professionally diagnosed with anything,
Mm.
um, things do run in my family, and one of them, we're going to dive slightly dark right now,
Mm.
is anxiety, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And I went throughout many years of my life with all of that, and it wasn't until 2008, and my cousin took his life, where it was that external, I don't want to say motivation, but it was that external event that kind of snapped me out of it. And
Mm.
it's like, so this is what happens when somebody close to me takes their own life. And then it kind of woke me up a little bit after I got done with, months of depression lingering over it and having like no motivation to do anything. It's like I kind of turned to bettering myself through honestly, it was exercising, better diet, and just kind of getting up and living my life and
Yeah.
knowing that I could not allow myself to go down those thoughts again, because then I would see the result later on
Yeah.
of
some people,
exactly what
it's a change
happened.
of lifestyle.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
Meds or whatever don't
Mhm.
they're hit or miss, and they have to be in a mindset. I had one friend, crippling, really
Mhm.
bad suicidal thoughts like his whole life. Meds on and off didn't like really help, so he had to live his life a certain way.
Right.
Every day I'm going to go swimming between these hours and these hours, then I'm
Mm.
going to go to work and do this and this. I need to work on something creative every day.
Right.
Sit down these hours, I'm going to either write or edit or like do whatever, and
Mhm.
just live day to day. Just I need
Yeah.
to get through the day and better yourself, and write,
Hmm.
and like working on the book, or whether it's like a tabletop RPG, let yourself play video games,
Yeah.
but just spend your time doing things that are good for you, and
Hmm.
improving yourself can help with that. But it's hard because that affect it almost cripples you. Like depression can cripple
Yeah.
you, and you can't
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
first step, or you make the first step but then the next day you don't.
Right.
And
And then,
everyone's guilty of that, but it's so
mhm.
much harder when you have that weighing on you.
Oh, definitely. And I had a really good conversation in Scotland when I did my study abroad with one of the girls in my group.
Oh,
She's like,
Scotland.
yeah, I did a study abroad in Scotland in
Yeah.
2014. So within our tour group, we were actually standing in, I think it was the Kelvin Grove Museum of Art. And we were talking about depression and anxiety and all this shit that we're talking about right now. And she's like, yeah, I think it was her therapist that said the first thing you need to do is make the change that you want to get better. Because it's on us
Mm.
in a way. Now, sometimes
Yeah.
it's brain chemistry and you have to have like that regulating medication to assist, but it still boils down to, do you want to change?
Yeah.
Including taking the steps
Yeah.
to see if you need medication. It's
Exactly.
so hard to just go to it took me a year and a half just to force myself to go and try to get certain things
Mhm.
diagnosed.
Yeah, because like our generation, we grew up with that stigma of you're not allowed to talk about mental health because it's looked down upon negatively if you talk about your emotions and your feelings and
Can't
recognize
talk
that all
about
these things
mental
are happening.
illness, can't talk about your salary, all these lies that that
Exactly.
were taught to our
And now
generation.
it's becoming more the norm to do so, which I think is fantastic. And these conversations should have happened decades ago.
Last 2 decades, mostly the last one, I'd say,
Hmm.
is has drastically changed what our faux pas or what is socially acceptable to talk about. Like this last decade is wild.
And
People
especially the
that-
latter half of this last decade, like 15 to 20.
Yeah, I'd say so. Specifically the last 5 years. A lot of good and bad, but a lot more like openness, like people peeling back, looking behind the curtain, realizing, wait, I am allowed to talk to my wages with other employees. I am
Yeah.
allowed to talk about mental illness. Oh, my friend has this like too. Oh, what did she do to get it treated? And
Exactly. And we're all realizing that we are not perfect people, even though our social media may indicate that, or our outward personalities may indicate that. I mean, I'm
there's
Bubbles
good
and
and bad,
Sparkles.
yeah.
Yeah, like I'm Bubbles and Sparkles on the internet at first glance, but once you go behind the scenes and get to know me, I'm more than just Bubbles and Sparkles. I mean, I'm also, you know, halfway caffeinated in my blood, but it's like I ain't perfect. We all got problems. I got my problems. And now I am not afraid to talk about them. Like I'm an open book. People can come to me about anything. So
I wonder if Hex will be like that. But like I'm
wonder.
excited to see what happens to Hex.
Yeah.
She seems completely different in that 10-second glimpse we got with
Oh,
her.
absolutely. And it's that
Well,
first
when you're-
step to clarity for her. So it's like I am excited as shit for her for this new journey.
Oh yeah. Also, like when you're dealing with what you're dealing with, like for friggin' years, and you finally come back to yourself that way, you don't know who you are, but you like it. It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap! I finally feel like myself, like I'm my own person. I don't have to wear masks. I don't have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to
absolutely.
be a renegade.
We've yeah.
That-
It's
Well-
such a. I'm sorry, go on.
Well, it's that's our mental health
Yes.
segment
Mental health
of every
minute, yes.
alphanumeric
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
we do. But there's a lot going on even in the action scenes.
Oh, absolutely. And then we go back up to the principal office. So
We're
Like Matrix is pounding on Megabyte. Megabyte punches Matrix across. He flies into a wall. Megabyte's smashing. Sorry, Enzo's smashing Megabyte's head through the wall. It's a slobber knocker. It's crazy. But
now
then
here we
the
are.
famous sliding down the principal office scene.
it's like a ride in amusement park.
Now we're on the roof of the principal office.
I have
Where-
nightmares where I'm like on the edge of something circular like that, and I'm like picking up speed, and I'm like trying to slow myself down. And I blame maybe I did watch this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know
like
those
when
dreams
see,
like where you're falling or something.
and when you falling dreams, dude.
But as Matrix is like getting winded because they were back and forth, right?
Right.
Megabyte just comes up and like kicks Enzo even further down it, just like punts him.
Yeah.
And
like
then we get
football.
that very daunting. This is why I'm like, how did Megabyte sneak up on him earlier? He starts walking and the screen shakes and we hear
Oh wow, we jumped way ahead. Oh yeah, okay. There we are.
as he's
Hang on.
not way ahead. We've just been
Not
moving
way
along
ahead,
at a
but-
normal pace.
I got you.
But so we've seen this before where Megabyte's footsteps are like very heavy and imposing.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder how
Yeah.
he snuck up on Enzo when he was talking to Phong. Can he
Right?
be quiet and cat-like when he wants to?
Maybe.
It's possible.
He's walking with authority now. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, where are we?
Well,
jumped started.
he's walking
29.
towards Matrix, who's on the ground, and he's kicking him. He's kicking him, and Matrix is like going head over tail, and he's tumbling down the side.
Oh,
now.
okay. So we're not that
Almost
far. Okay.
comical. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about where we're at now, where Matrix is passed out, kind of hanging over the edge.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Of the.
That's scary. That's where I'm at too.
That's very
Yeah.
very scary.
And
Yeah.
he's
then
got
we
this
have-
like look of fear as he's trying to slow himself down, and then exhausted, it appears that he just passes out as his head and arm is hanging off the edge.
The third kick that Megabyte gives him is to the head, so he's probably in a state of like woozy.
Right. Yeah, he's been kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah, and then when you go like 15 seconds later, watch Matrix's earring because it bounces in
I
time
like
to
that.
Megabyte's
His
footsteps.
head,
Yeah,
as
the
we hear
vibration.
the faint footsteps getting closer and the clangs get louder, and his earring, like you
Yeah.
said, it jingles, and his head, because he's passed out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So well animated, like the tension and the it's a little kind of scary moment.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Right?
what's gonna happen?
One of my lights died, and it's like the same outlet that my iPad is. That's why it's suddenly darker over here.
No.
But yeah, it kind of doesn't
Yeah.
look good, huh?
Nope. The camera pans back, and you see Megabyte looming over him, and then he
Yep.
slowly like brings out each of his claws one at a time, and she's
Yeah.
like, "He's going in for the kill. Here it is,
Taking his time.
taking his jolly sweet ass time."
Yeah, he winds
And
up
then
and slams it down as if to sever his head or stab him through the head.
Yep.
And luckily, Matrix wakes up and rolls out of the way.
Uh huh. And then Megabyte's stuck,
Yeah, he's stuck.
and he gets himself out, and then Matrix catches his arm with the claws, and then
Yeah, at
Megabyte
his
grabs him
wrist.
by the neck.
I know, it's just like, oh shit. It's very tense and it's going towards him, and Megabyte's a bit
and
stronger.
then
I love it.
and
Yes.
then it's the claws are coming closer and closer to his face, and then Matrix gut punches him right in the wound.
Once, twice,
Once.
boom, boom, boom.
And then he dents his chest again. I think.
Well, he just
At any
he delivers a combo and punches the shit out of him.
Yeah, and then he punches
And
him
I'm
in the
like,
face, and goes
nice.
down.
Anyway, now
Briefly,
Megabyte's pissed.
Megabyte looked scared.
Yeah.
But then he looks pissed, and they both look pissed. And there's this like epic moment as the trident's going up, and Megabyte's like swinging his claws.
Yeah.
And when they meet, Megabyte's claws shatter to the trident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think is a beautifully animated shot.
Oh,
It's a
so
beautifully
good.
animated
So
shot,
good.
especially when Megabyte, apparently this is very painful for him,
Oh yeah.
falls on his ground with the sky in the background, right?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like
I think it should have ended differently. I don't think it should have came to hardware, hit the
Yeah.
trident just being stronger than his claws. I think it should have been his force of will being stronger. And you could argue that it did. He had the wherewithal to make the right moves when he needed to, but
right.
I feel like he should have beat him without just the trident smacking it, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But he
Something a
beats
little
him in
bit,
a different way.
something a
There's a
little bit more fun.
moral victory coming
Yeah.
up. That's the
And then
more
when
important part.
yeah, then when Megabyte goes down, Andrea is standing in the background.
Yeah.
She's just
It's like-
I
watching.
thought that was pretty cool.
I said that earlier. I'd be like, you know what? I'd be in a distance, just waiting to see how Matrix did.
Yeah. It's
Waiting
like,
to
I
step
want my
in.
trident back. Aren't you done using it?
Yeah, she's just standing there with her arm on her hip.
I needed
And yeah,
Phong out. Yeah.
Matrix's boot goes down on Megabyte's neck,
Yeah.
and he holds the trident up to his head.
Uh-huh. It's like, look
And
at my pokies.
Then Megabyte says, "You can't do this.
You can't do
It
this.
goes against everything you stand for."
It's like, does it really?
Like,
When it comes to
okay.
I was
Matrix,
like,
does it
fuck
really?
you.
But that's like his final attempt at like, okay,
Psychologically fucking.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very villain move, being all like, "Oh, but you're the good guy.
Like
This
you-
isn't like you."
It's like your guardian
Good
codes
form.
and defend, blah blah
Good.
blah.
good form. I have fallen. Yes, well done.
I tried
Fight's over now.
Yeah, and
You can't kill me. You need a villain.
Matrix says, "You took away my life. You took away." What does he say?
destroyed
My home. Yeah.
Destroyed my home.
pain and
Yeah, go on.
suffering to everyone I held dear.
Yeah.
And then he brings it down, brings the trident
I
down.
thought he fucking killed him.
Yeah, and Andrea's face is like,
Yeah, because Andrea looks like surprised, kind of like disturbed, and I'm like, yes, kill him. And then the camera
And
cuts, and it's that trope
Yeah.
where the person stabs or shoots or punches right next to them, and they don't actually
yeah, just
kill
to
them.
scare him.
Just to scare him.
Yeah, and then he brings it back to his face and it's like, surprised? Don't be. You're not
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
And
then
I'm like,
she comes
I
over
dig
all
it.
doe-eyed, like,
and she reassures him.
yeah.
And Matrix says, "Mainframe will always endure.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Remember
this defeat." This
This
humiliation.
Humiliation.
Remember, you can never win.
So good. And then
And then
Megabyte does
Megabyte
this
eats
thing.
himself off the principal office. Like,
He eats him. So he slides off.
You're like, hang on, did
Yeah,
he
he
just
just eats
do
himself off.
himself? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
throws
does that
himself
himself.
off.
yeah, no, I remember, but I remember thinking that when I first saw it, I was like, oh, hang on.
Matrix
He just-
and Andrea look over the edge because they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I guess he had
And
seen, Megabyte had seen that there was a beam hanging.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he took a huge gamble.
Oh,
That's
and he
not a
slammed
big
into it
beam.
and seemed to have hurt himself. And he's
Yeah, he
like,
broke his foot.
Yeah, look at
yeah,
his.
which we'll see. Yeah, which we'll see here when he's walking, which is a reference that Christopher Siege
Ah,
told me. So he
okay.
falls and he thuds, right? And
Yeah.
Megabyte's line. Normally we don't go through the script like this, but this is a very impactful episode, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
And he says to him, "No," in kind of like a weak but he's trying. You
Oh.
remember, boy.
How I turned
Um,
defeat into
go
a
ahead.
Defeat
victory.
into victory.
Yeah,
How I left
Left.
you with a dying system. And he pulls out his Apple Watch to bring the terror over.
yeah. And indeed, now that he's got the codes, I guess he can turn this tear into a portal to the net.
Yeah.
Yes, he can. And as he's dragging it over, it does turn into this portal. And you can see the supercomputer.
And it goes to the end of the beam
Mhm.
that Megabyte's on. So this is a reference, the way he's like limping and going there, to the T-800, the Terminator,
Yeah.
Okay.
in the first Terminator movie.
Yeah.
The way that he's injured and all
Yeah.
that. In that one, it was a robot that didn't feel pain that was trying to get to Sarah Connor. But in this, it's Megabyte trying to get to the net, and no army with him, right?
Nope, just him.
Just he has fallen from grace, but off he goes. And I was like, man, is this happening? Throw the trident at him. Do something. And we cut to the hacking
Mouse.
device back in the principal office.
Yeah.
And kneeling with like a laptop like hard hacked into it.
Yeah.
She has a vid window and she's watching what's happening.
There's my girl. It's Mouse.
And she says, "Oh no, you don't."
No, you don't.
And
And
as
then
she's like lowering her finger, she says, "One last double cross,
double cross sugar.
sugar."
Because if we remember from season 1, episode 10, rule number 1, don't ever try to double cross the mouse.
And she's been double crossed once.
Mm-hmm.
Twice? Fool me once, shame
Did
on
we-
you.
Did we mention that portal that he created was to the supercomputer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't remember. Sorry.
I said the net, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned that you can see the image of the supercomputer.
Yeah.
inside of that.
the
I must
image of
have
where
missed that,
Bob's
sorry.
specifically from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Bob's old home.
Yeah.
So
And
she pushes, go ahead.
yeah, she pushes the button.
Enter.
We cut back to it, and the portal flattens before
Uh-huh.
reopening, so it catches his arms almost. And I'm like, oh, sweet, she's cutting off his arms. No, it turns into a sphere. It opens up again, and it's
And
the
it's
web.
web.
There's tentacles, and it's all dark and purple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh
Into
shit!
this. And then it
boy,
comes
boy,
out.
does Megabyte look terrified.
Oh,
What's
wow.
funny is that those tentacles flip him around, so he is facing Matrix and Andrea while he's screaming his last "No!" before he gets stuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now that is more fitting because he became his own reckoning.
Mhm.
They were going to have mercy and let him go, or try to capture him later, or put him in whatever. He has nothing now, right?
Right.
But so when villains are their own undoing, it's better than the good guy changing their
That is
morals
satisfying.
and killing.
Mhm.
It's more
Yeah.
satisfying. I'm sure, but he shot people. Matrix has shot a bunch of people, right?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Presumably.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's one more virus? Remember, he shot that praying mantis virus in the head and killed
In the
it.
mandible.
Icons, yeah.
And he just met it. So that's what I mean by this Matrix is different than the Matrix we had first we're introduced to.
Right, because
Yeah.
you remember him saying mercy to a virus, never.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah.
But now he's showing a degree of mercy, whereas
So there's
he won't outright delete him, but he'll do some things to make him suffer.
the compassionate parts of his old self came back. Bob's ideals, his sister. He's
embodying everything.
this episode
he's ever
is about
accomplished.
people becoming whole.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh,
Right.
I
So
like that.
Matrix is healed. He doesn't have this malice, this drive for power, and Hexadecimal is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I guess somebody zipped through that portal.
Yes,
That was only
So
open for like
good.
20
Ray
seconds.
Tracer came back.
Because I was so surprised. I was like, wait.
Wait, what?
How did you just happen to be near that that portal? And
Ray
he shows
comes
up.
through.
He's like, "Good day, mate."
He's like,
Wait a second.
who is that guy?
Who's that guy?
He looked a bit miffed.
He seemed a bit miffed.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's like, what?
he seemed a bit miffed.
And they're
So-
all like, surfer, but he looks pissed off to see him.
Enzo's almost pissed, but then it floods from his face.
Mhm.
Because there's a flash. He's like, "Surfer?" Like almost angry and surprised at the same time.
Yeah.
But then there's a golden light as Bob materializes beside
Comes
him.
back, and he's like,
I love
"So,
how
what did I
comical
miss?"
this. I love how
Bob.
comical the ending is with
Mhm.
both Bob and
I know.
um,
So
Ray
good.
Tracer.
Yep.
Because Bob's just like, so what did I miss?
Well,
And I like that Enzo got to do this alone. You know, like I'm fine doing things with friends, but like Bob didn't come to the rescue. Ray
Right.
Tracer didn't come to the rescue. It was Enzo with Andrea's like support,
mhm.
right? And I'm like,
Right.
fuck yeah.
And then all of a sudden, once Bob comes back, there is a crash, and the system is
no.
starting to shut down.
I almost forgot about this.
Yes.
All the buildings are like collapsing.
Yep. And then the last shot that we see is Matrix and Andrea have their arms around each other looking out at the system. And Bob is like, "This is bad." And Matrix concludes it with very bad.
Very bad.
Very bad.
And then we're done.
That's it, folks. So I think I summarized my like takeaway from the episode is it's like an episode about healing mainframe from the viruses, healing hexadecimal,
Mhm.
and Matrix healing himself by choosing not to choosing mercy over malice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that for me it's kind of about healing or becoming whole, righting the wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your takeaway from it before we go into our rating?
Ooh, that is that's an excellent question. The lingering question that I've thought of is, what if this was not Matrix's battle to be had? Because we all know since the very beginning of ReBoot, it's been a Bob versus Megabyte kind of thing. If Bob hadn't been swept away by Hexadecimal in the previous episode, and Bob was here with Matrix to take on Megabyte, who would have been taking on Megabyte? Would have been Bob versus Megabyte? Would have been Matrix versus Megabyte? Would have been a tag team effort?
I think it had to have been Enzo because his life had been disheveled the most,
Yeah.
taken from him, removed from his sister, right? It had to be Dot or Enzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, no,
Like
I
Bob's the
agree.
Guardian, but Enzo's the main character of ReBoot, whether people like it or not. He's the only one who's in every episode.
That is true.
And no, I think it was. Like I said, he's aged faster, as everyone knows. His life has literally been taken from him, whereas
Right.
everyone else has been like fighting for whatever they have, right?
Mhm.
Like Dot thought he was dead. No,
Yeah.
it was his fight, I think.
Okay.
So it was convenient that Bob was taken away.
Yeah.
Okay. Aiden, do you have a thought about that?
I agree. I think it was some extent Enzo's fight because it's like basically repeating what Cal was saying. I do understand your point of view though, and it is actually a very good question because it was, from season 1 and up to the end of season 2, it was basically Bob and Megabyte. But then
Always Bob
Megabyte,
versus
but
Megabyte.
then basically Megabyte won one battle with Bob,
Mhm.
and then Enzo needed revenge and avenged. So
And
basically, yeah. So it
and
was that and a lot more. But again, going
Enzo
along
was
with
the
what Cal was
weakest threat to Megabyte in Megabyte's eyes. So it's
saying.
poetic justice that the weakest threats to him
Mhm.
don't
Yeah,
underestimate like your opponents, right?
yeah,
So it's poetic justice that somebody that felt like weak and that they couldn't help anybody was the one to save everyone.
yeah. It was very satisfying episode to watch.
Pretty satisfying.
It was a
The
very
most
satisfying
satisfying?
episode. Hmm?
The most satisfying?
Uh,
Uh,
I s-
pretty satisfying.
it's pretty satisfying. I liked this like final reckoning between Enzo and Megabyte and
Mhm.
Bob and Hexadecimal. And again, I really thought the whole thing with Hexadecimal becoming whole, as she put it,
Mhm.
as we already talked about, very very real. Like
Yeah.
it was more of like rather than like an external battle that was going on between Enzo and Megabyte. I don't know why I forgot that all of a sudden. But
Megatron.
it was an internal battle happening with hexadecimal and hexadecimal and hexadecimal and hexadecimal and hexadecimal
And
Mhm.
because
hexadecimal.
and hexadecimal. All the hexadecimals, all at one time, and eventually all becoming, ending properly.
Mhm.
So, Lady Glitch, any last notes? Because I'm doing it opposite. Normally we rate it and then we talk, rate it, then we talk. No, we're gonna
Right.
talk and then we're just gonna rate it all at once. Anything else you want to wrap up? Or has
I
everything been said?
I think we really got everything. We even dove into some aspects that we we usually don't talk about. I mean, we did mental health minutes for like 15 minutes, but you guys really provided a new point of view for me to view this episode as what you mentioned, Cal. It's an episode of healing in progress.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed listening to our conversation about that.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah. Who would have thought a 90s animated show for kids? Here we
Yes.
are, 2021. Free
Talking about
therapy.
this is therapy.
All right, before I get into the free therapy that Lasercomb provides,
Join
um,
the Patreon. We can do free therapy.
before we plug it, let's give us our ratings. It gets an alphanumeric from me,
Mm-hmm.
and the Siege. Christopher has given it a very resounding alphanumeric from him too. It
Awesome.
is very
All right.
satisfying. He loves this episode.
All
Awesome.
So
right.
do I. Snidler?
Yeah.
It gets an alphanumeric from me.
Hey.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's high
yeah.
alphanumeric
It's a
praise.
very high tiered alphanumeric.
Nice.
And Lady Glitch.
I would have to go alphanumeric as well.
It's
Is this our first
alphanumerics
unanimous
across the
alphanumeric?
board.
No, last episode
No,
was
last one was.
It was pretty good. Right. Two in a row.
I-
Two.
Woo!
In fact,
We did it.
spoilers. I think I just love the last episodes of the season so much that it's probably gonna look the same from me. But
All right.
we'll wait until next week.
So there you have it, folks.
Mhm.
Alphanumerics all the way around. First thing we want to do is we have a Patreon.
Yes, we do.
Lasercomb. LAZORCOMB. And there are different tiers. If you just want to chat on the Discord, check us out, hear the preamble, you can go from $2 and up. We have some special segments where we
Mhm.
talk about funny or weird news. We release those throughout the week from the $10 tier and up.
Mm.
And from the mighty $25 tier and up, we do movie commentary. And right now we have a free sampling of the $25 tier. We have our commentary. Snidler, Lady Glitch, myself, and Christopher Siege have commentary on Batman and Robin.
Yeah, we do.
Yes. Uma Thurman, Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's real.
Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. And that's available to
bring
all
back
tiers.
Clooney.
Yeah, hashtag bring back George
Be a
Clooney.
little taste, yeah. And also, you get a T-shirt from us.
Yeah.
And the ability to pitch.
New show ideas.
Yeah, I think Christopher had mentioned the pilot pitch. If you want us
Yes.
to talk about and watch the first episode, the pilot of something, you can pitch us that at the $25 tier.
Yes.
You can join us in that mighty tier along with. We actually do have somebody at that tier. So
It's Game Sprite mode.
Game Sprite mode.
Yeah,
so
Game Sprite mode.
Also,
Yeah.
thanks for that.
Yeah.
Also, we give shout outs to you, and we appreciate it. Christopher has gone out of. So we've never really talked about this. I'm going to talk about it. Christopher goes out of pocket for a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, the idea is that we can kind of make money, not just help us pay for our expenses. But we're doing it because we like it, not because we want to beg for money. That being said, give us money.
It just helps us
you
with
want.
production costs, equipment upgrades, everything to make our show better for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe even do other 90s shows.
Absolutely. We're always open to suggestions. And speaking of suggestions and things, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a Q&A episode with the four of us before we hit season 4 of our Alphanumeric podcast. So
That's
please,
right.
if you have questions for us, it can be about whatever comes to your mind. Please pitch them to us, and we will do our best to answer them all on a very special podcast where we just sit around, shoot the shit, and answer your questions.
Oh, yeah. So wherever you're listening to us, if this is YouTube, ask us questions in the YouTube comments. You can actually just directly creep us on Twitter. On Twitter, I am at Neo_Cal, Kal. Snidler.
I am at AP Snidler. APSNIDDLER.
And if you have,
I was gonna say, if you have any questions for me, please tweet me or DM me.
Tweet him.
Tweet
Creep
me.
him.
Yes, and I am at Lady Glitch 619, 619 being my birthday. And it was a couple of weeks ago. You're fine. You guys are off the hook for like the next 49 weeks. It's fine. But yes, I love answering questions. Like I've mentioned before, I am an open book, so ask me anything.
Doesn't even have to be about the show or us.
Yeah,
ask us
it could be about
questions, philosophical philosophy. It can be about astrophysics.
Investments,
music.
Yeah.
If you want to know how to lose money, ask us about investments.
Yes, stonks.
Ask us about
ask us about Doge.
Doge to the moon.
Yeah. On Facebook, facebook.com/lasercomb. Sorry, Lasercomb Productions, I believe. I'm always get that. Yeah,
we need to have a list.
I always get that. Need to have a list. Christopher monitors that, and the reason I don't always get the Facebook one is because I don't really look at Facebook, unfortunately. But yeah, Lasercomb Productions is our hub, and Lasercomb, Christopher Siege's
Twitter
has a few shows with other people, but you can follow him and all of Lasercomb's productions at Lasercomb.
Absolutely.
On Twitter. So that's Christopher Siege. LAZORCOMB.
Yep. In addition to Alpha. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, in addition to Alphanumeric, Christopher and NeoCal, that is me, do too much Energon. If you like Beast Wars or Transformers, there it is. They have it's in the works here. Cartoons at Night.
I've done
is
an
about,
episode with Christopher on that.
Yeah. I think it was about Stripperella.
It was Stripperella, and I infused my past experiences in the industry into that episode. So if that is something you would like to know a little bit more about me go check that one out.
Go check that one out. And we also have wow, I'm so bad.
War Planets.
War Planets, a Shadow Raiders podcast.
Shadow
Or is
Raiders
it Shadow
podcast.
Raiders, a War Planets podcast?
I think it's
Shadow
Shadow
Planet.
Planets, a War Raiders podcast.
You're right. That is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And we also have
Based
Christopher and his partner do Based On, which is the more intellectual podcast, perhaps. They talk about and analyze the differences between the movies and the books they were based on. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
I don't
Those
think
are the
so. I think
five
we
that we
covered it
got.
all.
I think that's everything, folks.
Yeah.
So on that news, I have been one of your hosts, NeoCal.
I've been another host, Lady Glitch.
And I've been another host, AP Snidler.
And until next time,
Mainframe will always endure.
One more step and the head gets it.
Maximize. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.